Oh, howdy all, grab yourself a beer, it's time for some Path of Exile discussion. Today I want to continue a series where I'm going to look at each of the 8 octants in the Atlas of Worlds and its Atlas Ascendancy trait. This is a new mechanic that's being added into the Echoes of the Atlas expansion, and give some sort of thoughts onto which of these nodes you may want to spend your Atlas passive points on. Remember that you can respec them, but respec tokens are going to be pretty rare. There'll be an Atlas-specific Orb of Regret, and that'll be a comparable rarity to the Exalted Orb. However, there will be some ways to deterministically farm them as well. So, I want to start with Glennach Cairns in this video and then move on to New Vastir. These are the 2 sections of the Atlas that are in the bottom left corner, so southwest, with Glennach Cairns being southwest inner and New Vastir being southwest outer. So Glennach Cairns first has a number of nodes that revolve around Legion content, a number around Beyond, a number around Incursions, and also a few about Strongboxes. So the first thing that needs to be said here is that the Beyond nodes basically synergize with everything else on the tree. So Scent of Blood grants additional chances for Beyond portals to spawn. Scent of Blood on its own does practically nothing, but this effect stacks really well with other sources of this effect, such as the Beyond map device option, if that's available in this league, which we'll be informed about tomorrow, and also with maps that naturally have Beyond as a map mod on them. So Scent of Blood does nothing on its own, but does a lot in conjunction with those effects. However, amping up the percentage chance to summon monsters from Beyond is really powerful if you can summon a lot of monsters in one place. And what better way to do that than Legion, Strongboxes, or Incursion? All of these are effects that will cause there to be a lot of monsters in one locality. Now, we then have the Torn Veil while we're talking on Beyond. And this one's kind of interesting. So powerful Beyond demons. So this is the various bosses. This is Tezatosh, the fire boss. This is Ephage, the lightning boss. Hast, the very dangerous cold boss. Naem, the bending stone. Bummoth, the shifting darkness. And the rare and very deadly Abuxoth, the end of all it is. These are going to be much easier to summon. So these will require 1 fewer portal to summon in areas. So that means that for every 3 lots of rare Beyond monsters you spawn, you get a boss if the rare bosses spawn close enough to each other. Additionally, Beyond portals in the area have 100% increased merging radius. This is really going to be significant, and it's going to mean that if you have monsters that are spread out over a slightly larger area, like a Legion encounter, then you're going to be getting lots of Beyond monsters from them. Ultimately, my suggestion with the Beyond section is don't take these early in the league. These are something to respec into later. However, they are very powerful, and the reason that you would take this is if you are someone who has already sourced a Headhunter from trade or from a lucky drop or from farming Doctor cards incessantly, and you are stacking every possible source of Beyond that you can onto your maps. Then this section, Scent of Blood and Torn Veil, will be an incredible boost to a mapping strategy like that. And that will really help you acquire an enormous amount of items, but also an enormous amount of XP, because Beyond is very good for getting XP once your character is strong enough that you're not dying all the time from it. Okay, so next up we have the Legion wing. And Legion starts with Monumental. This doubles the base chance of getting a Legion encounter. Legion encounters are 10% to be in maps by default, so you're looking at 20% here. And then you have 2 choices. So you have Protracted Battle. Protracted Battle is interesting in that it makes Legion encounters easier. It doesn't so much make them more rewarding as just make them easier to clear. And there's a lot of value in that. If you are struggling with Legion encounters, then Protracted Battle will make it so that it is more readily accessible to clear out all of the monsters and wake them all up. Now that's going to make it more dangerous because those monsters are then going to turn on you, but you will be able to get more rewards. So ultimately, Protracted Battle means that you will be encountering more monsters per Legion if you are not yet at the cap of being able to wake them all up, and that's also going to cause you to get more rewards as a result. Additionally, 50% increased damage while they're in stasis, that's a huge boost to your ability to open up all of the monsters there. This will be really good in conjunction with builds that use a Val skill in order to completely wake up the entire Legion, and then immediately either get one shot or pull out a miraculous recovery to deal with the whole Legion itself. Face-to-face is next, and face-to-face is going to cause you to be more likely to have generals and when you get one general, you're going to get both of them, and when the generals are there, they're going to drop more timeless splinters. So generals are the rarest of the various types of Legion encounters, so you will always have two different sides facing off against each other. Sometimes they will have just lieutenants, sometimes they'll have war hordes, and sometimes they will have the general. When the general is there, the general will drop 10 splinters usually, so that's going up to 20, and additionally they have a very tiny chance to drop the Legion exclusive jewels. So face-to-face is a significant buff, and it's something that you should seriously consider if you're looking to use Legion scarabs on your maps. Ultimately, the Legion section of the tree is not a must-take for every player, but it is a pretty solid choice. If you like Legions, consider taking it. That said, we're now going to get over to the Incursion Wing, and I think the Incursion Wing offers a lot. And that's all because of one node, and that node is Contested Development. So firstly, we've got Cultural Advancement. Incursion monsters in areas are at least magic. So incursion monsters are monsters found inside the incursion portals. So you take up you apply an Elva mission to your map, you then go find the various instances of Elva throughout the map, and then all of the normal trash monsters there will be magic. Cultural Advancement will make incursions harder. It will add considerably to the amount of XP that they drop, that they grant you, and it will add noticeably to the amount of loot that you get from them. But it won't be an enormous loot explosion. Think of this as very much the XP booster section of this Octant of the Atlas. I would suggest taking this if you've got a lot of Elva missions banked up, and one Atlas strategy you may want to consider is banking up all of your Elva missions until one point in the league, then unspecking a couple of points and taking all 6 of the incursion ones, and just burning through all of your Elva missions back to back to back in Glennach Cairns. Next up we have Resource Reallocation. So there's a couple of new terms here, non-resident and resident architects, and I want to quickly talk about what these are. When you go into an incursion, you will either be going into a level 0 room, or you'll be going into a level 1 or 2 room. If you're going into a 1 or 2 room, then the incursion architect that matches the tile set that you're in is a resident architect. So that means that if you go into a level 2 fire room and you have the corruption chamber boss as one option and the fire boss as the other one, the fire boss is the resident architect and the boss of the corruption chamber is the non-resident. So killing non-resident architects has a 50% chance to add an additional upgrade tier to the surviving architect's room. What this means is that if you're sent into a tier 1 room and you decide you want to upgrade that room, not swap it out, then you will have a 50% chance to leapfrog over tier 2 straight to tier 3. That's great. Additionally, this will also happen if you're sent into a tier 0 room. You'll have a 50% chance of leapfrogging over tier 1 straight to tier 2. Resource reallocation is fantastic. If you are intending to run Elva missions and actually farm the incursion-specific rewards like the Corruption Chamber, like the Lapidary Lens, then resource reallocation is fantastic. Contested Development does the same thing and does it better. Killing resident architects in areas, i.e. swapping the swapping the tile set to something else, adds their upgrade tier to the surviving architect's room. So what this means is that if you're sent into a fire room where the fire boss is tier 2 and the corruption chamber boss is the other one, then when you kill the fire boss, this will change into a corruption chamber, but you will keep the 2 levels that the fire architect had. So it looks like it goes straight from tier 2 fire room straight to a tier 3 corruption chamber. Contested development's incredible, resource reallocation is solid, and cultural advancement is neither here nor there. I think that if you're looking to run Elva much at all, you definitely need to take all 6 of these points while you're in Glennach Cairns. Lastly, we have the Strongbox side. Now, the Strongbox side is interesting. This is going to be very powerful at certain points of the league, and very mediocre in other points. So I'm going to talk about this from a trade league perspective player, because I think if you're a solo self-found player, these wings offer less to you. So, Twice Tempted. So, if you're in SSF, I probably wouldn't take this. The exception is if you're an experienced player that wants to farm Divine Orbs, or if it's very early in the league and you need to get yourself fusing orbs. And we'll talk about why that's the case. So Twice Tempted. Areas contain one more Strongbox, and there's basically a 10% more multiplier to the number of Strongboxes in the zone. So this is the fuel that allows Tamper-Proof to work. You can also stack other Strongboxes on by using things like Ambush Scarabs. But Tamper-Proof is the interesting one. Strongboxes in areas are corrupted and at least rare. So, corrupted Strongboxes are an interesting thing. Corrupted Strongboxes firstly cannot be identified. So this means that you absolutely should never take Tamper-Proof unless your character has freeze immunity on command. The reason for that is that a very common Strongbox mod is going to freeze your character. So you must have a flask that will remove freeze, or some sort of reliable freeze immunity, such as the Raider's Avatar of the Veil node. Then you need to have, so you need to be very careful. You also need to be aware of the dangerous mods. There will be a sound when you open a Strongbox if some sort of bomb is going to go off. This can be an Ice Nova, which is a huge area of effect skill that deals a lot of cold damage. It can be Corpse Explosion, which will instantly kill your character if you stay close to the Strongbox. Or it can be one of the less dangerous ones, such as Spreads Caustic Ground or the Strongbox Explodes. So you need to be very aware of those, and you will not be able to use Identify Scrolls on these chests. Additionally, some Strongboxes get worse when they're corrupted. A Diviner's Strongbox is just flat out worse. It gains nothing from the corruption, but everything in it being but you also have no ability to re-roll it to get better mods on it. Likewise, an Arcanist Strongbox is worse when it's corrupted. But the strength of Tamper-Proof is that you will get your Armorer's Strongboxes will all be corrupted. And Armorer's Strongboxes drop a lot of body armor pieces, and when a body armor piece is corrupted, there is a considerable chance for it to become a 6-socket item, and a smaller but still significant chance for it to become a 6-socket 6-link, or a 6-socket 5-link, or a 5-socket 5-link item. At the very start of a league, there is a lot of demand for highly linked items. 5-socket 5-link items, 6-socket 5-link, and 6-socket 6-link items will sell for a real premium in a trade league on days 1, 2, and 3 of the league. And if you have Tamper-Proof allocated very early, you will be printing these things like crazy, especially if you're able to pick up ambush Strongboxes from other players, ambush Scarabs from other players, and various prophecies and other methods of forcing additional Strongboxes onto a map. So, days 1 and 2, that's going to be really good. Additionally, you'll get just lots of unlinked 6-socket items, which will sell for 7 Jeweler's Orbs, and then that's, of course, 1.75 fusings. So that is something that you can use to farm yourself a lot of fusing orbs as well. Then, once you've done that, you'll hit a point in the league where the demand for Jeweler's Orbs and fusing orbs will fall off a cliff, and additionally, people will start looking for endgame 6-links. So they're no longer going to be interested in just your 6-link that has bad stats that drop from one of these chests. There'll still be people wanting those, but those will be the more casual players that generally aren't adept at farming currency, and so won't be able to pay as much for them. Additionally, the market will be flooded. At that point, what you're going to want to do is probably not use Tamper-Proof anymore. Then later in the league, when veteran players start getting amazing Timeless Jewels or Venter's Gambles or any of the other items that are massive sinks of Divine Orbs in the game, there'll be a lot more demand for those 6-socket 6-link items just for the purposes of vendoring them, because Divine Orbs tend to be an item that increases in value throughout a league. So at that point, Tamper-Proof becomes good again, because it'll be a source of bad 6-link items. So that's Tamper-Proof from a trade league perspective. Once more, if you're in solo self-found, you'll get much less out of this unless you are farming Divine Orbs. And if you're farming Divine Orbs, you're an advanced player, you know how to do that. Next up we have New Vastir, but just before we jump into New Vastir, my overall thoughts: early league, take Tamper-Proof if you get to maps on day 1 or day 2. No ifs, no buts, no maybes, take it early. Then spec into Legion by default, and then when your character's really powerful, unspec Tamper-Proof and pick up the Beyond nodes. Then, if you get to the point that you are wanting to do a lot of Elven missions, you've got a lot of them saved up, you want to try and get yourself some of those juicy corruption chambers, then unspec the Legion stuff for a bit and pick up all of the Elva stuff. and you will be fine. Alright, so moving on now to New Vastir, and New Vastir offers a few different options. There's a Delve Wing, there's another Legion section, and there's a few things related to Rogue Exiles and to Abysses. Firstly, let's have a look at the Delve section. The Delve section is something that you are going to run only if you are if you are really taking Delve quite seriously. Mad Devotion will funnel a lot of Nico missions to you. In order to get these extra Nico missions, you are going to need to complete maps within New Vastir, so that means kill the boss. This line about additional favour is something that a bunch of the other masters have as well. Additional favour means that you will be you'll get more of the special currency that's used to purchase hideout decorations. It has no other purpose in the game, so if you're into making a hideout look crazy, then you'll want to consider this. Players that played the game prior to the Betrayal expansion tend to have an unbelievable amount of favour banked up, but if you started since Betrayal, so in the last 2 years, then Mad Devotion could be quite useful for you. Sulphite Sentinels, we flat out don't know what these Sulphite Hoarding monsters are. We're just going to have to find that out through trial and error. I'm assuming that it is monsters that when you kill them drop additional Sulphite, but we don't know whether that's a large amount or a small amount. Out of the Blue gives a 5% chance for Sulphite Veins and Chests to have an equal amount of Azurite. Done the maths on this so you don't have to. It's an average 250 Azurite per map. That is not much. Sorry, per Nico mission. That is not much. Even if I was a Delve enthusiast, I would consider skipping this. I don't think it's very important. I don't think it does very much for you. You are not going to be Azurite constrained if you're a Delve enthusiast at all. And also, there will be players who do take this, and in a trade league, they'll just flood the market with single socket resonators, because this will give them enough Azurite to do that. So with all that in mind, all I think that Out of the Blue will do is depress the value of 1, 2, and 3 socket resonators in trade leagues, and I don't think it's something that people should take. The exception being if you're a solo self-found player who is Delve obsessed, then maybe you'll find a use for that, but even then I don't think so. So, going to the Abyss section, we have one of the most interesting nodes here. So not Abyssal Army. Abyssal Army is still cool. Abysses spawn 100% more monsters. That's a lot. Abysses do spawn a lot of monsters as it is, and they're going to spawn double, and those monsters are going to give you 50% increased XP. So basically this triples the XP for every Abyss that you encounter, and it will also help you with any sort of skill that proliferates through an Abyss. So if you've got, say, an exploding chest, this will help you proliferate those explosions more effectively. So for some people, actually having 100% more monsters will make it easier, not harder. Next up we have Votive Horde. Votive Horde is cool. Now, Abyssal Troves in areas have a 10% chance to drop a rare item with an Abyssal socket. So what this means, presumably, is that it will be a rare item that has been rolled with a Hollow Fossil. Hollow Fossils are ultra-rare Delve exclusive fossils, and what they do is they scramble mods on an item like a Chaos Orb, but one of the suffixes will be a unique suffix, which is that the item has an Abyssal socket. This will also scramble the links on an item as well. So this is something that hasn't been able to drop from random sources in the game. The only way to get these in the past has been through the use of Hollow Fossils. Additionally, +3 to the level of Abyssal Troves in areas. What these two things together are going to do is create a lot of sources of item level 86 boots that have Abyssal sockets on them. Most of these are going to be rubbish, and you're not going to get that many of them, but some of them are going to be spectacular. And these are going to be very powerful boots that you'll be able to get dropping here. I don't think other slots offer all that much. It is mostly the boot slot, but if you get a set of boots that drops with an Abyssal socket and 35% movement speed, you've got something that's really solid as a start for further crafting. And especially with Harvest in the game, you can probably turn that into something that is beyond what would have been Merit tier a few leagues ago. Additionally, Abyssal Troves in the areas have triple item drops. This really doesn't matter very much. Abyssal Troves just aren't very lucrative. The big thing is the +3 to the level of Abyssal Troves in areas. However, the fact that you've got these two things together means that Votive Horde will cause a lot of item level 86 energy shield bases to drop. Hubris circlets, and we're not talking about with the Bloodstain mod, we're just talking normal item level 86 energy shield gear, Sorcerer boots, Hubris circlets, things like that. In previous leagues, I've been selling these for sort of 5 chaos each all league. I don't think they're going to be 5 chaos anymore. I think they're going to be a lot cheaper. But that's where it's my loss. That's going to be other people's gain. They're going to be able to get access to them cheaper. So that'll be fine. Next up, let's have a quick look at the Rogue Exile side of things. So the first one is Total Anarchy. Area contains an additional Rogue Exile for every 2 content types applied to area. Now that is a real mess to parse. I believe that content types applied to area means things like if you've got a Blight that's appearing in that map, if you've got a Metamorph that's in that map, then those will count as a content type. Really, I think Total Anarchy does very, very little. Rogue Exiles haven't been all that lucrative for a very long time, and I don't think this is going to change anything. Next, we have this Rogue Trader. Wild Rogue Exiles in areas have 15% chance to have rewards. Now, there's no explanation as to what rewards means here. What I'm assuming it means is it will be similar to a Legion encounter that has one of those icons over its head. So maybe you'll be running around, you'll see your good friend Igna Phoenix, and she will have over her head the Legion Incubator sign. Then when you kill her, she will drop Legion Incubators like she would if she was one of the Maraketh Legion. What do they call it? The lieutenants of the Maraketh Legion. Maybe that's the way I interpret it. I could be wrong. My gut says this is not strong, and we're just going to have to find out through play. You'll notice that there's a lot of care has been taken to balance this preemptively. It's only Rogue Exiles that are spawned randomly within the area. It does not apply to any of the Sextants that add a few Rogue Exiles. I think there might be a Scarab that adds Rogue Exiles, if I can remember rightly. But Rogue Exiles are just, they're not a mechanic that's aged very well. They feel underwhelming to fight, and they're not very lucrative either. Last up, we have the Legion section. So we have high-value targets. Legions in areas contain 3 additional sergeants. So those are the ones that usually have a reward. They're tougher than usual rare monsters in the Legions. And the Legion sergeants in the area always have rewards. This is going to be moderately noticeable. Like, this could be adding 4 rewards to an average Legion. And that's pretty significant. So I think this is actually a high-value target, pardon the pun. I think this could be a quite good node to take fairly early on. War Supplies is next. Each Legion in areas contains an additional War Horde. The War Hordes are the good chests. There's the little chests and there's the better chests, and these are the better ones. You're only getting one of them, so it means that if you've got, say, a Maraketh versus Val Legion, it might be a Val War Horde, it might be a Maraketh War Horde. These are pretty good when they go off. So this is certainly something that's worth considering taking. I think I would take high value target. I think it is the higher value target there. Lastly, we have Emblematic. Timeless Splinters dropped by Legion monsters in areas have a 1% chance to drop as Timeless Emblems instead. So this is a 99% more multiplier to the number of Splinters that you get, but importantly, it's also the massive quality of life increase because it's 99% more Splinters for 0% more clicking. This is a fantastic node. This will make running Legions much faster because when you get the lower end Legions, you may decide you're not going to bother with the Splinters at all. You're just going to leave the Karui, the Val, and the other low end one, I think it's Eternal Empire, leave those Splinters entirely hidden on your loot filter, only pick up the random emblems that you get from this, and then when you get a Maraketh or a Templar Legion, you'll still pick up those Splinters because they're worth something. So I think Emblematic is going to be absolutely fantastic if you're someone that is running a lot of Legions. So, overall thoughts on this. I would initially start out probably going for high value targets unless you're wanting to try your luck with Votive Horde. Votive Horde, I think, is going to feel much better in tier 16 maps than it feels in 14, 15, and so on. And that's just because the item level 86 item drops from the Abyssal Troves will be really meaningful there. So, Votive Horde looks pretty solid. Abyssal Army certainly does offer you something real as a prerequisite for it, so this is a pretty good use of 4 points. Delve is only for Delve Specialists. If you are going nuts with Delve, then definitely take Mad Devotion. In fact, taking Mad Devotion early may also be worthwhile just to stockpile Nico missions if you haven't yet decided whether you're going to Delve or not, but you don't need to take the other 2 nodes unless you're really have your heart set on delving like crazy. The Rogue Exile side of things, I would default to not taking them, but reassess this once we get a bit more information on what the rewards actually feel like in practice. And then the Legion side of things is looking pretty solid. All in all, New Vastir does not look to be one of the stronger octants of the Atlas, although that may depend a little bit upon what maps become available at what tiers, and that's information that we'll get over the next couple of days. Glennach Cairns offers a lot more and is much more well-rounded, in my opinion, and has those really juicy incursion nodes. Anyways, if you've got any comments or questions, fire away below. I will get the Southeast octants done in the next little while, and I will upload those as well.